Hello everyone, welcome to the Quilter. I am Regina and we are going to do some more tricks today. And I will give you as many as I can today. I am videoing by myself today. Husband's at work, son's busy, and daughter-in-law's at work too. So it's just me and you. We will experiment. I want to show you that I'm not just a quilter today. I also draw, I paint, and let's show you a few of my artwork. Some of them are not good, some of them are okay. This is one I done for a band who ordered an album cover and then decided they didn't want to go with a drawn picture. So this is it. It's called Between Heaven and Hell. It was designed from their one song they had on their album. I have my favorite. I love doing horses. This is what I done. I had it hanging on my wall until we had a big windstorm and it was on my fireplace, and wind gusted down my fireplace and took it right off, busted the frame and everything. I'm alright for drawing. Some things I can do, some things I cannot do. I cannot do real life for nothing. This is going to be a quilt eventually when the drawing's finished. I'm hoping to put it into a quilt anyhow. And I have Great Danes. So I just sketched one. Not very good at my Great Danes. Don't tell them. I also done some of my parrots. I have some parrots. I have 3 blue and golds. I have a scarlet. I now have a cockatoo, a sulfur-crusted cockatoo. His mommy could no longer have him. She was having some health issues, so she asked me to take him. So now I have a crazy, really screaming cockatoo downstairs, which everybody's quiet for this video. Last video, you probably could hear the birds were going a little crazy. The dogs are all taking a nap. They ate their lunch. And they have an hour downtime because Great Danes get bloat. And, well, this is the only way I could keep them from getting bloat. Just feed them. Then they get to take a nap for an hour. Trick 1 for today is I use these page covers on my, I sketch out my project. It's on graph paper, and I put it in these protectors so that I can write on it and say, I'm in the middle of sewing, I've got it all cut out, everything's lined up, everything's ready to be sewed. And I got to like line 4, 6 square over, and somebody comes to my door, and I don't want to lose my place where I'm sewing. So what I do is I sew each square in the graph represents 1 square in the quilt. And I will mark as I go where I'm at. And when I stop, I take a mark. I do it in permanent marker because I found out the dry erase markers wipe off, and then it's on your hands, and then it gets on your fabric. And so I have loads and loads and loads of these protectors. And when I'm done with the quilt, I want to keep the pattern. That's why we write on this and not the pattern. And I just slip it into a clean sleeve and I put it in my binder. I have several of them ready. This is just a square for 1 quilt. This is just a square as well. I haven't got a complete quilt designed on it. This is a quilt that I'm going to do in blue and white. I have the fabric all picked out for it. I have just not got it cut out yet. When I got my project and I'm all ready to sew, well, as I'm getting ready to sew, like I said, I graph every quilt out. So I do on stocking graph paper. I put it in groups of lines, see? Everything's got numbers. Just little Scotch tape. I'm stocking this as well. I label every row. I use alphabet or I use the number system. And I put it in stacks, like this is number 20, row 20. And in the order they get sewed together. So that way I stay in order. Because as you're going, you can forget where you're at really easy. New trick. Well, it's not a new trick to me, but it's a new trick to many people. We all have these. Well, almost everybody. And they're slick. They're very slick. So when you put them down on your fabric, they slide. So what we don't want to do is it to slide while we're cutting. So what I did is on the back, I don't know if you can see it, and you probably see it better with my shirt. So right here, there's 5 on this one. It's hot glue. As I warm up my hot glue gun, and I just rub it on there. I don't put a dot, I just rub the tip on to get some glue to come off on it. And it comes off your rulers as well. If it doesn't come off well, just stick it in the freezer. Then it'll peel off real well. But it does is it holds it in place. I got it upset. You can put it on the table. It's much easier on the table. See? And it holds it in place while you're cutting it. It doesn't want to shift us around as much. If it still shifts, put a little more. That means you didn't have a big enough daub on it. And it's see-through. Hot glue is just, if you don't put too much on it, it's still see-through. So you can still see through your ruler. Let's see, another trick. If you go out and you buy fabric or you cut your clothing apart like I do, I buy fabric as well, because the piece I just showed you is a piece my daughter-in-law got me for Christmas. She got me the blue feathers, the blue with the birds, and some dark blue, so all I need to do is get some white. It's the hardest color to keep in my house. She got me these. Got little birds on it, because, yeah, I love my birds. And I put them in Ziploc baggies, so that all my project colors stay in the same baggie. I just fold them up, and I keep them in my baggies. So when I'm ready to cut them apart, all the fabric I chose for that project is in that baggie. Oops. And plus, my kids are always asking me, can you make me one? I have made one for my youngest daughter. It's got Jack the Pumpkin King in the center. It's all applique. She wanted him, so I got lots and lots of needle punctures from doing hers. This came from my husband's coat. He wanted snaps because he couldn't get his coat to zip up, so I hand sewed, snap, punctured my finger. He thinks it's funny. And my oldest daughter her birthday is the day before Halloween, so she wanted a Halloween themed quilt. So I put a upside down witch in a cauldron with a 3D effect, which the dress on the witch comes out from the quilt. My middle son asked for black and purple. He didn't care what the design was as long as black and purple was in it. So I made him a Starry Night. And I used satin. FYI, don't use satin. He loves it, but you have to have a wider seam than a 1/4 inch for the satin. So when you're making just around the satin parts, you have to add that 1/2 inch seam allowance instead of a 1/4 inch seam allowance, because satin frays so much more. You cannot iron satin. It shrinks. So I did not know that. And I did find a way to buy the satin where it did not cost me a whole lot of money. We have a Goodwill here in town, which I go to the Goodwill, I go to the thrift shops, I go to garage sales, and people are selling their old prom dresses and bridesmaid dresses. And Goodwill sells them for anywhere from $4.95 for a dress to, at $15. So I went and I bought a prom dress, and I cut it apart. And the first prom dress, I screwed it all up. I admit it, I screwed it up royally because I did not realize I had to make a larger seam allowance for the quilt because of the fraying. And his first stars kept coming apart, and I was very frustrated. So I had to redo the whole quilt, and finally I got it done. It's not quilted yet, but he's happy with it. His wife wants one, but she's supposed to be learning how to quilt. She's a very fast learner in sewing. She follows one of the quilting sites that I follow on Facebook, and she's really good at it. She learned really good. She came over a couple years ago for Christmas, asked to learn to do a square, and she was making a square by the end of the day by herself. Remember in the last video I said I save the buttons? Every year I get a new baggie out ready for my buttons. This is the buttons I've already taken apart since January 1st. I started a new bag. This is how many clothes I've torn apart since January 1st. There's a variety of different colored clothes. I still have probably 20 bags of clothes to tear apart yet from the last time I went to the Council on Aging garage sale. But I normally don't tear them apart until I'm ready to use them. Sometimes I tear them apart because I don't have any projects to sew on. And I didn't have any projects other than the one I'm working on now. And the lady I'm making a quilt for now, she's changed her mind on pattern several times. So her and her husband finally settled on a simple pattern, but they want a sunflower on it. I make 3D quilts, and this will have a 3D sunflower on it. I did have to find a specific quilter to make the quilt, to do the quilting on it, because it is 3D, and not all of them know how to quilt around a 3D quilt. It's not hard. You just pin them down where you fold them up and you pin it down a little bit, and do not sew over the 3D part. Just sew under it and around it. What else today? My son dropped this off the other day. He used it in the Marines. Marine son. Middle son is in the Army. He brought me this. It is a very unique ruler. He used it in the Marines for something. He told me, I didn't remember. But it's neat. I like using this with my rotary cutter because it's got something for me to hold on to. I will put some hot glue on it because this slides around a lot more than my other rulers do. But the hot glue is a good idea. On more rulers, and you want to make sure you got the perfect cut every time. Put your hot glue on the back so it doesn't shift, but tape it right on the cut line where you want it. You can use any tape. I use painter's tape. I did have blue, I ran out. I'm going to go back and get some more pretty colors later. But this is a 1/2 inch thing, and it comes off. It leaves no residue on your thing as long as you use painter's tape. Painter's tape has low stick volume. That means it won't stick to your ruler. Does not stick, does not leave any residue. If you have any questions or any subject you would like me to talk about, shoot me a message, and like and subscribe to my YouTube page, and hit the bell for any new videos that I will put out. Thank you.